Tampa Stadium. It's round 5 of the AMA Supercross Series. Hello, everybody. I'm Art Ekman, along with Dave Despain. Last week, Michael Craig said Jeremy McGrath is beatable. Despite the fact that he led him for more than 10 laps, Jeremy McGrath still took the checkered flag and is on the doorstep of some great records.
Well, he is. The record for consecutive victories at the start of the season, Art, is 5, and Ricky Johnson set that in 1989. Jeremy can tie it tonight, and he'll kind of flip-flop on you in response to the question, are you motivated by records? One time he'll say, oh, yeah, and the next time, maybe not so much. I guarantee you he's motivated tonight.
Despite his dominance, Mike Kudrowski and Michael Craig have improved greatly.
Well, the two Michaels have gotten their act together. Kudrowski has his motorcycle working off the gate. He's getting good starts now. 4th and 2nd his last 2 outings are the result. Craig, the guy who's ready to make a breakthrough at the age of 25 and maybe win his first Supercross, but, you know, he's right there at that plateau. You got to step up. You got to beat Jeremy McGrath. That's the name of this game.
Motor World 2's Jerry Bernardo is with our 4-time winner of this year.
All right, I got a lot of questions, Jeremy, and I know but everybody's always asking you these stupid questions. This is the main one. You're going to break a lot of records. Tonight's the 5th race in a row. The possibility of breaking all the, you know, Rick Johnson's records. Does that linger on your mind at all?
Well, I think, you know, deep down I am thinking about it a little bit because, you know, it's quite an opportunity to be able to beat records such as Rick Johnson's or anyone's like that. But, you know, actually I'm just trying to concentrate on the race tonight.
Okay, in your recent string of victories, roosting the last 4 races, the different tracks, you know, the compounds of the dirt and the layouts, how do you feel adapting to that?
Well, I mean, each track takes a different setup, and my mechanic, Skip, he does a great job of that. I mean, he supplies the tires that Dunlop gives us for the races, and, you know, we just play with gearing and other stuff like that, and I leave the setup basically to him.
Okay, last week you had a really bad cold, the flu, you know, you probably weren't feeling too good during the main, but you still won. And, you know, this week, did you train? How do you feel now?
Well, actually, Sunday and Monday I was in bed, you know, laying around all day. I was pretty tired. And I only rode Wednesday this week, one day, so I'm feeling pretty tired, you know, a little bit weaker than last week because I haven't been able to train, but I'm trying to save my energy for the main event.
You gonna come up the house for a little pasta load? I'll cook some scampi. We'll ride around the yard on minis. What do you think?
I need to come up there.
Yeah, we'll have a tour.
Maybe I won't get sick.
This kid's got a little thing going. It's called confidence, and the #1 plate right behind us. So he's probably gonna win. Do you think he will?
We'll see.
He's not gonna say it. I'll say it for him. He's gonna win, I think.
Will someone step forward to challenge #1? What part will Lady Luck play? We'll be
Up this racetrack, Art. Slick, slick, and slick. You get big triple jumps along both sidelines, but it's hard-packed and very slippery.
Earlier in the day, Jerry took a look at a big factor.
All right, thanks a lot. You know, this track is one of the most difficult to tire for. The ground is hard-packed, it's clay. We're going to go to Frank Stacy. He's going to explain the situation. Frank?
Well, Jerry, we got a condition here where the dirt just simply doesn't break up. It's very, very firm, and it gets real slippery, real, almost like a blue groove type surface, almost like pavement. And the riders tend to have to ride the bike more straight up and down. They don't lean it into the turns quite as far because basically it'll just slide right out from underneath them. So we end up with a tire combination that has a much flatter profile across the center of the tread, which puts down a lot of edge on the ground, a lot more rubber, which basically helps them hold their line better, helps them hold their traction better in both straight line, cornering, and braking performance. In contrast, for the looser type conditions, we would use a pattern very similar to this one. It has a little bit more space in the center of the tire, has a little bit smaller knob, a little sharper bite, and it really cleans that loose stuff real well that's laying around the track. It also has a little rounder profile, so it fits into things nicer, and you generally lean the bike a little bit more under those conditions, so you want that rounder profile to give you a little bit better feeling.
And while the riders wait for qualifying heat #1, there are 2 heat races, 2 semis, and 1 last chance qualifier to get to the main event. And in each 8-lap heat race, the top 4 finishers advance to the main event.
That's the way everybody wants to move, too. Get right out of the heat. Don't get stuck in the semifinal. That's 6 more laps that you don't want to ride with people you don't want to be racing against. And worst case is you end up in the last chance. 20 riders go to the main, and it'll be a good one here.
More than 30,000 fans at Tampa Stadium getting ready to see the first action of the night. These are highlights of heat #1, and they gave the fans some exciting racing. And the quickest qualifying time came out of this heat.
lot of heavy hitters in this one, Art. The interesting thing is always that run to the first turn. Who's got the hole shot?
Craig, number 19, but Jeff Matasevich is right there with Craig out of the first turn. He gets the bump, and Matasevich will be in first place.
And half the rest of the field crashed, which should make it easier for the rest of them. Craig in the orange jersey had the hole shot, couldn't make it stick. He couldn't slow down. The bike ran wide. We told you the track is slippery, but there are worse things to come for number 19.
Matasevich. Then you see Mike Kudrowski with a good start, a welcome good start, with Doug Henry also up high.
Here's when things get worse for Craig. He's got a nice line here. He jumps past Henry, but he jumps right into the hay bale. Boom, and it about tears him off the motorcycle.
The battle behind the privateer, Jeff Matasevich, you see here, Mike Kudrowski. This has got to be a good shot in the arm for him. Doug Henry makes the pass on the inside. That was the battle for second place, and here, number 50, Buddy Antonez, a privateer on his own with a limited schedule. He ran hard early, but lost the battle with Larocco for the last transfer spot.
Larocco, without a great start, has to play catch-up. That moves him into fourth place. He handles Antonez pretty easily, but by the time he does, these guys are gone.
Henry was not satisfied in this qualifying heat for second place as he makes the move on the inside once again. This was on the 6th lap.
Chicken Matasevich did a good job of holding the Thackeray guys off for a long, long time. Once Henry went, Kudrowski moved in, tried to go with him, and it's a good tight battle inside the top three. Henry's really fast.
In fact, Dave, he held off Kudrowski to take second place in this qualifying heat.
Larocco, meanwhile, trying to close on Kudrowski, and let's note that Jeff Stanton, bad luck Jeff, crashed again here in this heat race, and he's going to be stuck in the semifinal.
That was all the way back in the 4th lap. So Henry has the fastest qualifying time, followed by Matasevich, Kudrowski, and Larocco, the final qualifier to go directly to the main. Craig and Stanton will be headed to the semis. Here's Jerry Bernardo.
Okay, Doug, great ride. First heat win of the season. I saw you come from third, up a couple of big spots to first. How's it feel?
Feels really good, you know, to beat those guys, to come from behind to beat them. I wish I had a better start, but really tight right, left-hand turn into there. But, I came out about third and just went on and tried to pass everybody.
It was a good pace. You knew Kudrowski was right there. You felt confident like you could get in front of him?
Yeah, he was riding really well, but the passage was slowing him up a little bit. I knew if I get by him and by Chicken really quick, then, I wouldn't have to worry about it.
All right, great ride.
Thanks.
The host of riders in Heat 2 trying to qualify with an 8-lap qualifier includes number 1, Jeremy McGrath.
McGrath will be out to turn the quickest qualifying lap, but it's going to be tough to do because Henry had 8 good laps there.
McGrath got the fastest qualifying time, the Silver Bullet Award, in the first 3 races, did not in the last race in San Diego. And McGrath has a great start in heat number 2. Number 22, along with 6 Emig, is Ryan Hughes. He won the 125s last week, trying the 250s this time around.
Ryan Swink also has a good start on number 10. He's up in the thick of it as Jeremy gets the hole shot.
McGrath still sniffling a bit when start to finish for first place as we see the highlights of the second qualifying heat. The real battle here was between number 6 Emig and number 10 Swink. What a race for second and third.
A lot of block passing, a lot of excitement in this one. Emig, who's been in a fight with somebody all season long, has a cut under his eye. He's playing local hockey in a league in Southern California. You say, no big deal. I've reported a guy who got a little scratch on my face.
Swink is looking for his best performance of the year. He had a couple of crashes earlier. They also feel they've got the bugs out of that Suzuki machine so that he can perform up to his standards.
Here's the inside move as he takes the spot back from Emig. Emig tries to retaliate, and they race this way virtually the entire event. Ryan Swink finally starting to achieve the potential most of us felt he had when he came up as a 125 guy.
Not many people like to trail Jeff Emig so far this season. He's all over the course.
Well, that's been the accusation that Emig is using up more than his fair share of the racetrack and has been colliding with people. And particularly Jeremy McGrath has nothing good to say about Jeff Emig.
Look at the inside steam with Swink as Swink back and forth this entire heat race with Emig.
That's an interesting line that they work in that first and second corner combination. There are a lot of ways through there, and Emig consistently has had the best way.
Another nice block pass by Emig as it goes back and forth.
But as they began to run out of laps here,
Emig was the rider who cracked under the pressure. Swink was able to make the definitive move. There is the pass, and a moment later, Emig a little out of control off the whoop-de-doo, and Brian, looking back over his shoulder, has the room that he needs to get away. Emig would make a subsequent mistake, and Swink is solidly in second spot.
Here we take a look at the replay on that little wheel-banging affair into the corner. Wouldn't it be interesting, though, to see Brian Swink get back and competitive and challenge this guy in the main event?
2 years ago, Brian Swink was the Eastern 125 champ. This guy, Mr. Can-Can, Jeremy McGrath, was king of the West, but the head-on showdown never happened.
McGrath, Swink takes second place. Emig third, Lamson to the main. Larry Ward and KTM's Cliff Palmer not making the cut. But what an impressive showing by number 10, Brian Swink. Our Jerry Bernardo caught up with Jeremy McGrath once again.
Jeremy, your job as usual. Too bad you didn't have a rear-view mirror to see that second and third place battle going on between the boys. What about the track? You know.
Well, you know, I was watching them guys from behind me. I know they were battling, and Emig tends to screw around a little bit so much, so, you know, I mean, I was just trying to ride my own race and have some fun with the crowd. You know, these crowd pumps the riders up, so, you know, I just want to go get that kind of start in the main.
They love that Can-Can.
Yeah, they're digging it. It's called a knack-knack.
Whatever, Can-Can, knack-knack. Good job.
All right, thanks.
One thing for sure, he's not great friends with Emig still. Bernardo never sits still.
Who's going to win?
Green.
Who?
Mean Green.
Mean Green? You don't care who it is, just as long as it's Kawasaki, right? Who do you think's going to win?
Green.
Green? Green bike? Mike LaRocco or Mike Kudrowski? Sir. Yeah.
All right, you come with us.
Man, this happens every event I go to.
AMA Supercross from Tampa Stadium. Art Ekman, Dave Despain, Jerry Bernardo. We go to the highlights now of semifinal number 1. Jeff Stanton trying to regroup, Dave.
Well, he sure is. He was my pick to win the championship. It has not been that kind of year. His crash in the heat race that put him in this semifinal is all too characteristic of Jeff Stanton's 1994 season.
Yeah, who can forget that crash in the preliminary rounds of Houston where it ripped the visor right off. The first semifinal here in our highlights saw Michael Craig do exactly what he was expected. He didn't let the off-track ride in qualifying bother him one bit as he gets out in front almost immediately. Number 23 was Jeremy Buell. And 26, Todd DeHoop, veteran privateers, breaking out in front of Stanton.
Craig, with that good start, has it all his way. The big story in this one is Stanton, number 5, and perhaps more importantly, the number 50, Buddy Antunez, the California 125 specialist, now moving to Kawasaki in the 250 class. And I want you to watch what happens here. Antunez doesn't care that Jeff Stanton is a 3-time champion. He simply dives down to the inside, sets something up over the whoops, gets the traction first, and says bye-bye Stanton. Jeff drops to 4th, and that's where he's going to stay.
I don't care if you are the 3-time champion, Buddy Antunez said. And you might remember Buddy Antunez being the teammate of Jeremy McGrath in McGrath's final 125 season. Buddy Antunez placed second right behind Jeremy that year.
Antunez is a fine young rider. He is not, at least on paper, in the category of Jeff Stanton, or in the class, the league of Jeff Stanton. But as you watch this race unfold, Stanton simply has nothing for Antunez. They will both move up and attack number 23, Jeremy Buell, now, and try to drop him back a spot. And Craig seizes this opportunity to just run away from everybody.
Buell would fade in this qualifying heat, but the story with number 19, Craig, clearly in control, was Stanton's inability to get around Antunez.
As we watch Antunez and Stanton work their way by number 23, Buell, let's elaborate on that a little bit. Jeff Stanton took the off-season off, literally. He didn't ride all of the European races that often keep these guys busy in the off-season. He wanted time off the bike, time to regroup, time to get his focus back, and I think most importantly, time to get that mental attitude just right. And coming into the season, he thought he was there. He thought he was ready to go out and go after Jeremy McGrath, maybe win another championship. The thing we noticed that was different in the early races about Stanton was his attitude. He was willing to take chances. He was styling. He was showing off for the crowd. But what happened is he started falling off the thing, and I think it has cost him his confidence.
Craig, however, is coming off his finest finish, his first podium finish in San Diego at 3rd. He also had to go to the semis there to qualify for the main event.
He's styling a little bit. He's doing some Jeremy McGrath style tricks, even though he's a seasoned veteran at age 25, not like those young and crazy kids.
Well, he has improved week after week. Buddy Antonez, one of his finest appearances now. As we mentioned, he has a limited schedule because he's paying his own bill.
That's a terrific ride for Antonez. For all the talk about Stanton, Antonez did a great job.
Here's the guys that made it to the main and to Jerry.
Mike Craig, you went off the track earlier in the earlier heat race. What was the problem there?
It's really slick out there. I had the whole shot, but I braked too late. It's really slick and hard. And I was the first one there, but the last one coming around because I hit my brakes. Once I hit my brakes and started hydroplaning, I had nowhere to go besides the hay bales, and then I started going again, and then I made another mistake, jumped off the track. I don't know, it was really slick. It was hard to pass with a few laps. It kind of frustrated me, but at semi, I feel like I could be one of the guys that win tonight.
Craig feeling confident as we get ready for the semifinal heat number 2. Our highlights, including Larry Ward, also KTM's Cliff Palmer, as we get set now.
Ward, number 11, should be a favorite here. He was 5th, just out of the transfer in the heat race. Remember that Ward got a whole bunch of main event hole shots early in the year.
Number 12 gets a great start, Cliff Palmer, and he really cleaned house in this particular semifinal. Larry Ward having a sore elbow coming out of that qualifying heat. Palmer, number 12, and then 248 is Ken Yoho of Dover, Florida.
And while the Florida fans cheer for Kenny to stay on that motorcycle, Ryan Hughes goes singing by him. Hughes is having a good night here, but look at Kenny come right back. The Yoho family produced a couple of good motocross racers. I think Kenny's got a future.
While Palmer pulled away, number 35, Rich Taylor, and number 22, Hughes, had a good competition for second and third. Number 127 on the Kawasaki, Travis Blackburn, and number 248, Yoho, battling it out for third and fourth as we see Larry Ward pointing to that sore elbow on the right side. He has gone down and is now just coasting around the course, being lapped by Palmer.
He landed on a down rider and took a very hard fall. Ward's going to have to ride the last chance qualifier, and I'll bet Cliff Palmer thinks it was all that KTM power that won this one for him.
Palmer, Hughes, Taylor, Blackburn, and Yoho advancing with Ward headed for the last chance. Jerry Bernardo talked with Cliff Palmer.
So, Cliff, you like that being out front and winning? Tell me.
Oh, yeah. It feels a whole lot better than being back there in the back. You know, pulling the start and leaning like that is 2 times better than trying to battle from behind.
A little more confident now that you get the track dialed a little better?
Oh, yeah. I think confidence has a whole lot to do with it, and that win sure gave me quite a bit of confidence. I feel like I can go out there and maybe pull us another start like that and do good in the main.
Get that Euro bike up on the podium?
I'll sure try.
All right, good job, Cliff.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Larry Ward, though, did win the last chance qualifier with Boyerson filling the final 20th spot. Doug Henry's mechanic, Peter Steinbrecher, polishing things up as we get ready for the 250 and 125 mains. We'll be back in a moment.
As Lusk leads the Eastern Regional standings, and Raynard, the kid expected to challenge him, is not inside the top 5.
Jimmy Button not that far behind after 2 second-place finishes. It's interesting, I think, that Ezra Lusk did not compete in 250s during the last 2 weeks to concentrate on gaining this 125 East Coast title. He's from Bainbridge, Georgia.
Suzuki wanted no part of that. Ezra wanted to go west and ride the 250 class. Suzuki said, let's keep this kid healthy. We're underway.
It's Ezra Lusk and Robbie Raynard getting great starts. Boy, this could be a good battle in this race now. Jeff DeMint goes down, number 41.
DeMint was Lusk's rival when they were mini bike riders, but Ezra's got a hole shot. He got around number 99, Jimmy Eichel, who looked like he might be able to hold on to that first turn lead.
Chad Pedersen, number 51, also a very good start. Then Jimmy Button, 34, in 5th with John Dowd in 6th.
Button's going to have to pass some people to maintain that consistent record of podium finishes here, and all of these guys got to get something going quickly. If Ezra gets away, this one's over.
Well, the big surprise, too, is the third man in the point standings. Tim Ferry is lodged back in 11th place.
This is what we waited for through the first 2 rounds. Number 33 and number 17 with an opportunity to race them up. 33 is Raynard. First turn crash at Orlando, flew at Houston. He hasn't had a shot at Ezra, but he's got a shot now.
He's healthy, too. He had a bad case of the flu the last time these two met in Houston.
Their backgrounds are so similar. They both came up through the mini bike ranks, that thriving hubbub of activity that lets 4- and 5-year-old kids start their racing careers, and they race, boy, 50, 60 times a year. By the time they turn 16 and ready to turn AMA Pro, they've got a ton of experience.
After more than 20 national championships, Raynard was just chomping at the bit to go pro, and he did at the end of last season, turning 16 before the San Jose race. Ezra Lusk, though, a lot more mature in his approach this year, Dave.
Well, Ezra is in his 3rd season in this 125 regional series in Supercross, and that means indeed that he does have a tremendous amount of experience, but it also means he hasn't quite lived up to everybody's expectations. Everybody figured he was going to win the championship the first year.
Back just behind them is Chad Pedersen, number 51, and Jimmy Button. Button putting the move in the black pass on Pedersen. Great move.
Pardon me. A little contact, perhaps. The idea of the block pass is to slide up in front of the guy. Instead, Button slides right into his front wheel. The effect is the same. The difference is Pedersen now has reason to be mad.
And we go back to our leaders, Ezra Lusk, with Robbie Raynard just not letting them get too far away. Back in the pack, our battle for 5th and 6th. It's Eichel, along with number 92, Mike Brown, after his first qualifying win earlier. He's establishing good position for 5th.
Nice pass by Mike Brown. Even the 125s are sliding around a lot. The racetrack is so slippery, you just can't get hold of it.
Here's our leader, Ezra Lusk, but Robbie Raynard on the inside, putting a lot of pressure on Ezra.
He wanted it right there and thought maybe he was in position to make the pass, saw that Ezra had the momentum around on the outside, riding the rail, and Robbie wisely backed off and let Ezra have the spot. No point in crashing yourself out of 2nd place.
Raynard looks for a spot to pass. We'll be back in a moment. We've got a real battle here for the 125 main. Ezra Lusk, number 17, with Robbie Raynard. Raynard has just been feeling out Ezra. He's put a lot of pressure on him, and unlike last year, Ezra hasn't cracked. Inside the top 10, number 16, John Dowd, and Jeff Curry out of Saginaw, Michigan, number 56. He puts the block pass on him. But it's number 28, Tim Ferry, having to come from way behind after a slow start. Let's rejoin the leaders now. Ezra Lusk and number 33, Robbie Raynard. Raynard goes high, and oh, he goes on a nice aerial to pass the Bainbridge, Georgia rider.
I don't think Robbie is overly respectful of Ezra Lusk. Ezra doubled, Robbie tripled, and Raynard has the lead.
Now the question is, can he hold him off as we go back in the back for more great high-flying action?
Ferry doing exactly the same thing. He was too far behind to see Robbie Raynard do it, but he took a look at the opportunity and said, I can make that same pass.
Michael, number 99, just hands him the next position. Ferry out of West Palm, a 3rd and a 5th so far on the season. But he sure had his problems going down in the first lap of qualifying today, and he was forced to go to the last chance qualifier. He is now up to 6th as we rejoin the leaders. Robbie Raynard, number 33, and Ezra Lusk, number 17. Ezra not putting a great deal of pressure, but not letting Robbie get away.
Well, Robbie's got more lead than I think Ezra would like to see him have at this point. If I were Robbie Raynard, I'd be doing exactly that. I would try to split. I'd try to demoralize him now, show him all the speed I got, and get away.
Chad Pedersen, number 51. He won this race last year in Tampa. Ended up 2nd in points to Doug Henry for the season.
Looks to me that Mike Brown may be struggling a little bit as he tries to reel in the number 51 bike. You saw him come short on that jump. Pedersen, I like Pedersen. He comes from Iowa. I come from Iowa. I gotta like him. There aren't that many hotshot star motocrossers out of Iowa. He's very consistent, very solid, but he's just never been able to break through. He came close to that championship last year, but came up a little short of Ezra.
Back to Mike Brown, number 92, and the battle with Tim Ferry as Ferry tries to move up the ranks.
Tim Ferry may be the fastest man on the racetrack right now. He certainly passed more people than anyone else out there. The next man in his sights is Brown. This time Mike comes through that whoop section nice and smooth. But again, you see the little hesitation there? That'll let Ferry close up another bike length.
That hesitation might be caused by the slickness of the track. Coming off the whoops and into a turn, you can see even some blue portions there where it is very slick.
The blue is actually rubber from the tires. They've worked through the slippery upper surface. They get down to that hard pack, and it actually starts wearing the rubber off the tires. You see it in dirt track a lot. You don't see it in motocross as often. When you see it in motocross, it means you've got a real slick racetrack.
Ferry on the inside, and he's worked his way all the way up to 5th with that move.
That was a nice pass, wasn't it? He committed to the inside, took it, and ran with it.
Out in front, the rookie. Oh, and Ezra Lusk comes splitting out of the air. Bar-to-bar battle right now.
Retaliation. Earlier, Ezra, and there they make contact. Raynard just about washed the front wheel. A reverse of what happened earlier. It was Raynard making the double jump. Ezra saw the opportunity, tripled, and made the pass. Here's the contact, and this is a scary moment for Raynard. Right there, when that front wheel runs inside Ezra, he's vulnerable. That's an easy way to crash. You lose the front, you can go on your head pretty quick.
Oh, this is turning out to be one of the greatest races of the year, and Raynard and Ezra, just the opposite that time.
Raynard stuck it in underneath, blocked him, and Ezra retaliates. This is exciting.
And we've got the marker, and Raynard's able to take advantage of the back marker, number 60.
That was Kevin Crine, who sort of stopped in front of Lusk. He suddenly realized that the leaders were coming. He, the lapper, stopped right in front of Ezra. It allowed Robbie to come back underneath and take the lead.
Robbie was so depressed after the 12th place finish in Houston and finishing 4th in the first race that he really had to regroup emotionally, and once again they banged the back wheel front wheel combination.
Lusk about bailed off there. He about high-sided. This has become a very, very physical confrontation. And I tell you what the mistake Raynard is making right here. He's looking back, looking for Lusk. They're thinking so much about messing each other up. Robbie needs to split. He needs to think forward. He needs to go for it. He needs to head for the checkered flag instead of figuring out how to block the guy behind him.
Robbie coasted to the win in the qualifying heat and just went out there to have some fun, and he is, but now Ezra Lusk retakes the lead on Robbie Raynard.
You saw them both looking across their shoulders at each other there. Now, it's conceivable that both of them understand that neither of them is going to be able to get away, that this is really going to come down to the last lap. So they just take the opportunity to try to demoralize each other, to show each other what they can do. This is terrific.
Oh, we'll be back with the exciting finish. We look at Robert Raynard, the father of Robbie Raynard. Issue him on. Robbie has led for 7 laps. But now Ezra Lusk is in control.
And he's got 5 yards of lead to work with. Raynard needs to do just what Dad said. He needs to go because we're into the final lap.
Ezra going down for the first time this year in qualifying, and it's still anybody's race.
I'm going to be interested to hear these kids after this is over to see if they're mad at each other. They've made a lot of contact. When the veterans do that, they tend to get pretty angry.
Especially with the expert block passing that we've seen throughout this entire race. Only really 2 passes through the air.
Boy, he throws it in there, doesn't he? He's not the least bit scared. Robbie Raynard wants around Ezra Lusk. Whoever wins this race, it's a wake-up call for Ezra. The first 2 races were easy. He's got his hands full for this championship.
Lusk looking back. He doesn't have much time. Here's maybe the last run for Raynard as Lusk powers away. And Raynard tries to cut inside.
Now he's out of time. Ezra, to see, he's waving to the crowd. He knows he's got him covered, but he also knows he's been in a dogfight. Here comes the finish.
Here comes Ezra toward the checkers right now. Ezra 3 for 3 in 125. But with the race of the season, Robbie Raynard showing his preseason credits weren't off the mark, Dave.
Let's see if they start throwing fists. Here's Button for 3rd.
Number 34, Jimmy Button, started 5th, moved up to 3rd in the 3rd lap and held that position despite battling Chad Pedersen, number 51. So Button still protecting some points there. Oh, they look pretty amiable.
If you become a rock on a mountain, said his mother, I'll become a mountain climber and climb to where you are. If you become a mountain climber and climb to me, said the little bunny, I will be a bird.
As we go back in the back for more great high-flying action.
Barry doing exactly the same thing. He was too far behind to see Robbie Raynard do it, but he took a look at the opportunity and said, I can make that same pass.
Michael, number 99, just hands him the next position. Ferry out of West Palm, a 3rd and a 5th so far on the season. But he sure had his problems going down in the first lap of qualifying today. And he was forced to go to the last chance qualifier. He is now up to 6th as we rejoin the leaders. Robbie Raynard, number 33, and Ezra Lusk, number 17. Ezra not putting a great deal of pressure, but not letting Robbie get away.
Well, Robbie's got more lead than I think Ezra would like to see him have at this point. If I were Robbie Raynard, I'd be doing exactly that. I would try to split. I'd try to demoralize him now, show him all the speed I got, and get away.
Chad Pedersen, number 51. He won this race last year in Tampa. Ended up 2nd in points to Doug Henry for the season.
Looks to me that Mike Brown may be struggling a little bit as he tries to reel in the number 51 bike. You saw him come short on that jump. Pedersen, I like Pedersen. He comes from Iowa. I come from Iowa. I got to like him. There aren't that many hotshot star motocrossers out of Iowa. He's very consistent, very solid, but he's just never been able to break through. He came close to that championship last year, but came up a little short of Ezra.
Back to Mike Brown, number 92, and the battle with Tim Ferry as Ferry tries to move up the ranks.
Tim Ferry may be the fastest man on the racetrack right now. He certainly passed more people than anyone else out there. The next man in his sights is Brown. This time Mike comes through that whoop section nice and smooth. But again, you see the little hesitation there? That'll let Ferry close up another bike length.
That hesitation might be caused by the slickness of the track. Coming off the whoops and into a turn, you can see even some blue portions there where it is very slick.
The blue is actually rubber from the tires. They've worked through the slippery upper surface. They get down to that hard pack, and it actually starts wearing the rubber off the tires. You see it in dirt track a lot. You don't see it in motocross as often. When you see it in motocross, it means you got a real slick racetrack.
Ferry on the inside, and he's worked his way all the way up to fifth with that move.
That was a nice pass, wasn't it? He committed to the inside, took it, and ran with it.
Out in front, the rookie. Oh, and Ezra Lusk comes splitting out of the air. Bar-to-bar battle right now.
Retaliation. Earlier, Ezra, and there they make contact. Raynard just about washed the front wheel. A reverse of what happened earlier. It was Raynard making the double jump. Ezra saw the opportunity, tripled, and made the pass. Here's the contact, and this is a scary moment for Raynard. Right there, when that front wheel runs inside Ezra, he's vulnerable. That's an easy way to crash. You lose the front, you can go on your head pretty quick.
Oh, this is turning out to be one of the greatest races of the year, and Raynard and Ezra, just the opposite that time.
Raynard stuck it in underneath, blocked him, and Ezra retaliates. This is exciting.
And we've got the marker, and Raynard's able to take advantage of the back marker, number 60.
That was Kevin Crine, who sort of stopped in front of Lusk. He suddenly realized that the leaders were coming. He, the lapper, stopped right in front of Ezra. It allowed Robbie to come back underneath and take the lead.
Robbie was so depressed after the 12th place finish in Houston and finishing fourth in the first race that he really had to regroup emotionally, and once again they banged the back wheel front wheel combination.
Lusk about bailed off there. He about high-sided. This has become a very, very physical confrontation. And I tell you what the mistake Raynard is making right here. He's looking back, looking for Lusk. They're thinking so much about messing each other up. Robbie needs to split. He needs to think forward. He needs to go for it. He needs to head for the checkered flag instead of figuring out how to block the guy behind him.
Robbie coasted to the win in the qualifying heat and just went out there to have some fun, and he is. But now, Ezra Lusk retakes the lead on Robbie Raynard.
You saw them both looking across their shoulders at each other there. Now, it's conceivable that both of them understand that neither of them is going to be able to get away, that this is really going to come down to the last lap. So they just take the opportunity to try to demoralize each other, to show each other what they can do. This is terrific.
Oh, we'll be back with the exciting finish in a moment. It's been a back-and-forth battle as we look at Robert Raynard, the father of Robbie Raynard. Issue him on. Robbie has led for 7 laps, but now Ezra Lusk is in control.
And he's got 5 yards of lead to work with. Raynard needs to do just what Dad said. He needs to go because we're into the final lap.
Ezra going down for the first time this year in qualifying, and it's still anybody's race.
I'm going to be interested to hear these kids after this is over to see if they're mad at each other. They've made a lot of contact. When the veterans do that, they tend to get pretty angry.
Especially with the expert block passing that we've seen throughout this entire race. Only really 2 passes through the air.
Boy, he throws it in there, doesn't he? He's not the least bit scared. Robbie Raynard wants around Ezra Lusk. Whoever wins this race, it's a wake-up call for Ezra. The first 2 races were easy. He's got his hands full for this championship.
Lusk looking back. He doesn't have much time. Here's maybe the last run for Raynard as Lusk powers away. And Raynard tries to cut inside.
Now, he's out of time. Ezra, you see, he's waving to the crowd. He knows he's got him covered, but he also knows he's been in a dogfight. Here comes the finish.
Here comes Ezra toward the checkers right now. Ezra 3 for 3 at 125. But with the race of the season, Robbie Raynard showing his preseason credits weren't off the mark, Dave.
Let's see if they start throwing fists. Here's Button for 3rd.
Number 34, Jimmy Button, started 5th, moved up to 3rd in the 3rd lap and held that position despite battling Chad Pedersen number 51. So Button still protecting some points there. Oh, they look pretty amiable as the Lusk turns back and looks right through Robbie Raynard.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's looking and pointing about something else, but I don't think it's Robbie that he's unhappy about.
Timmy Ferry moving up to 5th as we round out the top 10 in the 125 action. Jerry Bernardo is trackside to get Robbie Raynard's impression of that tremendous battle.
Hey, Robbie, that was some excellent racing in the 125s. You guys were banging bars. What was it like?
I got out in front of him and I just locked up. My arms locked up and I just couldn't think.
Was conditioning a factor in the latter part of the race?
I had the condition. I just wasn't thinking. I just locked up on the bike and I just started holding on too tight and it just pumped me up.
You guys still traded positions back and forth, though. You must have had something left in you.
I just trying to do everything I could. I was just doing everything.
Happy with your finish on the podium, though?
Yeah, I'm happy, but I really liked the first. I knew I could have done it, and I just wasn't thinking real good.
Great race, Robbie.
Thanks.
With all 3 wins, Lusk leads Button by 11 points, Ferry by 23, back to Jerry.
Crowd loved it because it made for some really great racing. We haven't seen too much tight battles, so that was probably the most killer one out of all 5 so far.
Yeah, it was really good. I guess the last good battle like that I had was with my teammate Brian Swink in 92. And I loved it. It was down to the very last lap until like then. And it worked out real good for me. You know, I congratulate Robbie again. He rode really good being the rookie and everything. And my bike was pulling really good, and I had a lot of horsepower out there.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ezra. Good job.
Thanks a lot.
Raynard's second place brought him all the way to 4th in the points with the anticipation that the next race in Atlanta will be another great matchup. Lusk, Button, and Raynard, the top 3. Welcome back to Tampa, Florida after the 125 main event. I don't know if these 250 guys can top it. We got a record on the line, Dave.
All right, there are 19 guys out there that would love to get as close to Jeremy McGrath as Raynard did to Lusk. I'm not sure it'll happen. The record, 5 straight wins at the start of the season. We've been through a third of the season. Team managers sum things up for our Jerry Bernardo.
All right, Art and Dave, it's pretty obvious that Jerry McGrath has really ripped. He's been dominating the last 4 races. But if you look right behind him, there's a lot of really talented riders out there banging it out bar to bar. Good, tight racing. We went to the team managers. We asked them how they feel the season summed up so far.
Well, up to this point, Honda's very happy with what the team has done so far. Jeremy, probably a little bit more than we expected, winning all 4 of the first events. And we have Jeff Stanton in 2nd in the series, Steve Lampson's in 4th, and Doug Henry, coming off of a pre-season injury, is actually starting to improve week to week. So overall, knock on wood, real well.
Right now, Team Suzuki is getting back on track. Their first couple races, we had a few troubles with Brian falling, coming from the back of the pack, but he rode strong, and we had a couple things on the bike to iron out. Things are looking better. And Brian's back in his hometown, so he's pumped about that.
Been a little bit rough this season for us. We started off real strong. LaRocco started off real strong, and then he suffered that setback with a mechanical DNF at Anaheim that put us back quite a ways in the points. So just looking at each race, 1 race at a time, trying to come back and get back in the points race here. Kudrowski came on strong last week at San Diego with a 2nd place finish, and I know he's feeling a lot better, so I'm sure we're going to see him back up in the top again. But as far as the series, it's we're going to have to look at it as the full series length now and just get back up in it as far as we can.
Not satisfied, no, but I think actually from where the guys are, it's real good. We've been on the victory podium a couple times. We had expected, honestly, to win a race by now, but everything's coming together good, and there's tonight.
Gee, Art, Honda's happy and everybody else has work to do. Did I get that right? What a surprise.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see who gets off the line first as we get set. The 30-second board still up. Once it goes sideways, it can happen at any time. Usually between 5 and 10 seconds. The guy inside that little tent will kick it loose, and the gates will come down, and they break. Lampson a good start. Craig and Matasevich on the inside. Craig's got the good position. Craig the whole shot. Number 19 in the orange jersey. He gets bumped by Matasevich, 21. Matasevich takes it over. So it's Matasevich, Craig, and then the 2 Kawasaki's, and then Lampson. Henry is right behind them.
5 races in a row, Yamaha has led on the first lap. These guys got terrific starts. Larry Ward early in the season. Now Michael Craig out front.
Matasevich giving him a good toss as Craig goes through the first lap. That's Kedrowski, number 3, one of his finer starts of the season. McGrath is back in 5th spot. LaRocco right behind him. What a pleasure for Michael Craig, who's gotten quicker every week.
What a treat for number 21, Jeff Matasevich, who has acknowledged that if he can't get a factory ride next year, he's out of the sport. The privateer running in front of a lot of factory guys.
Lamson in front of McGrath as he weeds his way up after the start.
If McGrath is going to make it 5 in a row, he's going to have to pass people on a difficult racetrack on which to pass. Jeremy is 5th and trailing his teammate, closing in now as they work down through the whoop-de-doos. Is this it? Yeah, it is.
He's got a strong Mike Kedrowski, though, a veteran who's not easy to get around on this track. An interesting challenge in front of him. Craig Matasevich and Kedrowski will be back. Supercross action from Tampa, Florida. We check out Steve Lamson, who is currently in 5th spot. Lamson, after a good start, has Mike LaRocco battling for that spot.
He's lost touch with Jeremy McGrath. McGrath has gone on in 4th, and here comes LaRocco zinging by on the inside. Lamson's going the wrong way. Just doesn't have the rhythm.
LaRocco trying to regain his rivalry as Stanton's off the course. He went over the hay bale, and it looks like he's got some adjustments on his bike before he gets back on the track. After a slow start, he made his way past 4 riders coming up from 14th, but it looked like he brushed a little bit with Emig to send him off.
How many times have we seen Jeff Stanton on the ground this year? It's been the story of his season.
Kedrowski making it close with the chicken. And Jeremy went off the track. When he tried to get back on, he hit swing and went down. Jeremy McGrath, here is a big, big event in this race.
No 5 straight for Jeremy unless he performs a miracle tonight. McGrath got off the racetrack. Let's see if we've got a glimpse of it here. Back at the end of that straightaway, that's Rich Taylor in trouble, and behind him, there's McGrath trying to get back on the racetrack. He went off over the hay bales, turned around, came back, hit swing, crashed, bent the motorcycle, and the streak is over.
He is back in 14th place as Michael Craig gets a big break. He's out in front, but the big competitor, this guy who's won every race this year, is back in 14th. Oh, another Honda down. It's Doug Henry after washing out.
That makes it 3 out of 4. Henry is the 3rd member of Team Honda to hit the dirt here tonight. Kedrowski continues his pursuit of Michael Craig. But boy, what a bad night for the Honda guys.
Kedrowski, the opportunist, actually, now, as he's taken over 2nd place. Henry still can't get his machine to fire. He's getting back in last place.
As Kedrowski pursues Craig, the key is to dodge all those fallen red bikes out there.
LaRocco making a move on chicken.
That's for 3rd. Matasevich has been holding the 2 Kawasaki's up. Now Kedrowski and LaRocco are both by.
Lamson is down. All 4 Hondas have been down in this race. I can't remember in the last 3 years having all 4 Hondas not higher than 11th place in the race. We've got 3 of those red bikes pulling up the rear of this field. Meanwhile, number 19, Michael Craig, has pulled away from 2nd place.
Heir apparent to Damon Bradshaw. Bradshaw's retirement this year left a very late off-season opening, and this was the guy Yamaha turned to. This was really the only guy available, and boy, is he cashing in tonight.
Oh, it's the best race of the year for this guy. The Suzuki number 10, it's Swink. He's in 5th, and he's got his sights on number 21, Jeff Matasevich, who's currently in 4th.
Matasevich having trouble maintaining the pace, and I think Swink has a shot at catching him. It would be very difficult for Brian to catch these guys who currently run 2nd and 3rd. Kedrowski with another great ride, and LaRocco in hot pursuit.
This competition amongst teammates, they won't hold anybody up. They might increase the lap speed. At least that's what Roy Turner's hoping for.
They need to do something. Mike Craig is up and gone. This is a great race for Mike Kedrowski. It proves that last week at San Diego, a runner-up finish was no fluke. Mike says, hey, everybody's been talking about what a terrible start I got this season. I had 2 bad races. It wasn't the end of the world. I'm not Damon Bradshaw. I'm not going to quit the sport.
Kedrowski in traffic. Oh, he makes the good move. He's had good technique all night.
The traffic helped him a lot there. He got through and LaRocco didn't. And so what was a 1 bike length advantage is now a 10-yard advantage in the race for second and third.
Mike LaRocco saying going into this race he was going to play it smarter.
Such a misfortune a week ago when he cased the bike and broke the cases and had a DNF. It badly damaged his championship hopes. And there's Top giving him the signal. Get by. Get around Kedrowski.
We'll be back with more 250 action from Tampa in a moment. All Michael Craig, number 19, has to do is keep it upright, ride his own race. He crashed at Pontiac last year while leading, but he was feeling the heat. He has no heat. As number 1, Jeremy McGrath fights his way up through the pack. He gets by Matasevich. He has moved all the way back to 6th position.
Good ride for Jeremy. The string is broken, but he's still demonstrating his ability. Keep in mind, he's still not 100% healthy. Point is, he has finally been beaten.
Smooth flow, Brian Lennis, who's worked so hard with Craig in the offseason, not only in his conditioning program, but his nutrition and diet program.
Mike would have to make a very, very big mistake to lose the race at this point. Craig into the final lap with a huge lead, has done it all here tonight. He's led every lap. He stayed cool. He let the disasters unfold behind him, didn't pay any attention, didn't look over his shoulder. He's going to score his first Supercross victory. 25 years old. That's old for a Supercross racer, but absolutely at the top of his game.
Lennis, the tuner of champions, past champions, is going to have another one on that podium.
Brian Lennis is really a legend in this game. You saw him giving the sign to Michael Craig. Brian worked with Donnie Hansen. He worked with Bob Hanna. They were both champions. He worked with Damon Bradshaw, who should have been champion, and now he has Michael Craig.
This would be Craig's first Supercross win. He's always said, just let me win my first, then look out.
You saw him get his hands off and wave right there. He was actually waving to Lennis. He did that coming by the mechanic signaling area. I wonder if we'll see a can, a knack, or whatever Michael Craig calls his trademark move.
I think he's in space right now. I don't think he's going to think of anything but looking at the checkered flag. Mike Kedrowski, a well-earned second place.
He actually got close to Craig on the final lap. There's the congratulations from the promoter, Bill West. Way to go, kid. I'm happy to give you my money.
Craig's mechanic, Lennis, coming up to congratulate him. He had him concentrating on the first 10 laps earlier in the season and then trying to extend that concentration beyond. So after a 6th, a 4th, a 9th, and a 3rd, Michael Craig has won his first Supercross, and he's inviting the mechanic Brian to hop on for that victory lap.
Yeah, that's good. You saw Larry Griffiths congratulating his Charger there. Larry said, hey, we thought we should have won one by now. Craig emerging, maturing, and taking a championship victory here tonight. He is a very, very happy young man. He called his wife before the main event, called her on the phone back home in El Cajon and said, I won the feature. He was just teasing her.